Hello, it's SPOOFER RAVENBERG here. I just turned on the camera. I don't really have a plan. I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. So while I'm wishing you well, I'll try to think up of something to blab on about. So yeah, really autumnal kind of wintry feel about the northwest of Ireland today. See the grey clouds over there coming over the Atlantic Ocean. Quite, kind of a sort of lethargic day, kind of dreary Irish weather. And I've come out, a neighbour, he told me there was a field here. And he said he was walking across it yesterday and he got a sudden sense that something wasn't quite right. Something wasn't quite right. So I'm going to walk into the field. I think that's what I'll do. I'll stand up and walk into the field, then I'll come back and sit on me rock and talk to you a little bit about Jimmy Savile. So one second. It's hard to get back onto your feet when you've been sitting down for all of 25 seconds. So here we are, walking into the field. Thus far I'm not feeling any sort of unease. Not really. Okay, starting to feel a little bit nervous. The adrenaline is starting to pump. Something's not quite right. Something's not quite right. I'll have my bag over there. Hopefully no one knackers it while I'm walking into the field. My car keys are in it. And a copy of a novel by Terry Pratchett. So hopefully no one steals me Terry Pratchett and me car keys. But you never know. You just never know. I won't be able to stay in the field long, members of me tribe, because I don't want me stuff to be knackered on me, So, okay, there's a really horrible sense of doom now. I'm really feeling it now. I'm sort of getting breathless. It's as if something has its hands around my throat and is trying to squeeze the living daylights out of me. Oh, it's getting really bad now. Oh my God. I don't know if I'll be able to walk much further because something's really putting pressure around my neck now. Oh my God, I think... Oh, I have to stop. I'm not going any closer. The evil presence is emanating from this telephone pole. So something's not quite right about that telephone pole. Maybe there's a goblin that lives inside it, and it would be best to give it a wide berth. So walking backwards out of respect to the goblin that lives at the telephone pole. Walking backwards. I mean you no harm, goblin. I mean you no harm. I mean you no harm, goblin. Okay, starting to feel a bit better now. And now I'll quickly go back and make sure my stuff hasn't been knackered, That was a horrible feeling, members of me tribe. Whatever you do, don't go into this field. Wow. Just a wow. I feel kind of disoriented now. Not sure where my woolly hat is. I left my woolly hat beside. Is it on these little hillocks? These tussocks? Now, I think I see it. Oh, that was, you should really have protective equipment on you when you're going into a field that's inhabited by a very angry goblin that lives in a telephone pole, Well, I told him I meant him no harm, and I think he listened, because as I stepped back, I could feel the pressure relenting on my jugular vein. So, right, I got my woolly hat. You can use this also as a tea cozy. You know, if you bring tea, you can put it around the teapot when you're outside. Little bit of knowledge there for you members of my tribe. So yeah, there's a lot of talk about Jimmy Savile, and every so often everyone starts talking about Jimmy Savile. I didn't like the guy, growing up in the 1920s in Ireland. There was no such thing as Top of the Pops, but when I got a bit older, I did see Jimmy Savile on the telly. We used to pick it up with the aerials. We could pick up the British channels. They'd come in kind of a very snowy reception, very snowy. But we were able to pick up the Top of the Pops. So, Jimmy Savile was there. I never trusted the guy. I felt he was a bit strange. You'd be there watching it, with your family, and Jimmy Savile would be on the telly. He'd be groping. He'd be groping some 14-year-old girl, which was not appropriate. Anyway, he died there a few years ago, and the British media, they're going to make documentaries, trying to turn him into a saint, and it turned out that he was actually quite a pervert, quite a nasty guy, So I didn't like the guy, but I've changed my mind because he has, I've told you in previous videos that I'm a sort of medium, and the spirits from the spirit world, occasionally they enter me, And I was telling you, sometimes they enter you from the front. That's not too bad, but sometimes they sneak up behind you and they enter you from behind. That's quite painful. Now, Jimmy, he's a kind of, he calls around to the back door kind of guy, You'd prefer him to come around the front, but no, he comes around the back and he enters you, and, it's quite painful. You'd be there drinking your tea and you nearly drop the cup and saucer onto the floor, very painful when Jimmy Savile enters your body. Now, in saying that, Jimmy Savile, I've had long conversations with him long into the night when he's called around to my cottage on the Leitrim-Sligo border. I've had long conversations long into the night. And I believe he is misunderstood. I believe he's actually being smeared by the media. I believe he's being smeared. I believe the guy, he never did anyone any harm in all his life. Now, I was speaking to him this morning. He called around when I was having breakfast, and I said, how's the weather over there where you are? And he said, it's absolutely boiling hot. He said, the sweat will be hopping off you. He said, sweat will be hopping off you. So we don't know where he is, what sort of dimension he's in, but it's not a cold place. Turns out it's very, very hot. Now, the problem I have, there's one problem I do have with Jimmy Savile. So when he enters you, he can take over your body. So he can move, he could start moving your arms, taking the piss out of you, or he'd start slapping you, with your own hands, and then he'd tell you, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself. He does that. And, I don't think that's very funny, but that's the sort of thing Jimmy gets up to when he possesses you, he takes the piss, and I like having a bit of a joke, I like the sorcery, the sorcery of satire. But Jimmy takes it a little bit too far. Now, when Jimmy leaves you, you feel a sense that you're your own person again, and you're back to normal, as it were. But the thing with Jimmy, like the spirits, they come and they go. The spirits come and they go. But the problem with Jimmy Savile, is that sometimes he pretends to kind of like leave you, sort of like saying, pretends to sort of like leave you, and then he hasn't really left your body, and you're sort of in a stupor, and the next minute you open your eyes and you're walking out of a children's hospital in England, and you don't even remember taking the bleeding boat over or the aeroplane, and there you are, you don't have a penny to your name, and you're walking out of a children's hospital in England, and you're saying, how the hell did I get here? And then you throw your fist up to the air and you shout up at the sky and you say, Jimmy, I'll get you for that one, And the next time Jimmy calls around, he's laughing about it, saying, how did you get on over in England? And you're saying, you fucking bastard, you fucking bastard. Anyway, members of my tribe, I'm going to go now. Before I do so, see the barbed wire? I'll leave a goat's head on the barbed wire, just to appease the goblin that lives over there in the telegraph pole in the middle of the field, the middle of the haunted field of doom. I fucking love you, members of me tribe. I fucking love you. Fucking love you. Lies. Lies. It's all a pack of lies. Fucking lies.